Shabbat Shalom Lakem.
Shabbat Shalom Lakem. Oh, you got it?
Torah. First of all, I'd like to give all due respect, praise, and acknowledgement to the Holy One of Yisrael, Yehudah. You know, I'm especially grateful this week and, you know, thankful and I'm alive to be here.
Amen.
To praise God with my people, to praise God, period. You know, I still have life. All right. Oh, next I'd like to give acknowledgement and respect to my Abba, Chief Elquanah ben Yehudah. Acknowledgement to Nasiyerio ben Yasaskar, the leader of Beit Da'at CHOKMAH BINAH, and as well as Rosh Kohat ben Lewi. So this week we're going to go into the book of Proverbs again. You know, and as we go into these Proverbs, no matter your age, young or old, you know, this is wisdom, and wisdom is a preventative from death, you know. And I would love to believe that this book and these Proverbs and following the path of that the Most High God left on record with Moshe saved my life time and again. You know, even very recently, last week, Akare Shabbat, me and my niece, we was in a car accident. My car is totaled, but, you know, both of us are apparently fine, you know. So I'm very thankful for that. And I have to believe, and I know in my heart that the Most High God was with us at that moment, because we could be hurt, we could be maimed. Everything we have on our body is still intact. We're not bruised up, we didn't lose anything. You know, the other people, they weren't hurt too badly, apparently. You know, so I have to know and believe that that was the Most High God shielding us at that moment. So I say all that to say, you know, be in this book, read this book, know this book, praise the Most High. You know, sometimes I know I be loud in the back when I be singing, but that's because I know my God gives me all that I ask for. And I continually ask for guiding, shielding, and protecting. And at that moment, the Most High God showed me just how much he protects me. So while we have life, just give it all up. Sing as loud as you could sing. Praise as hard as you could praise. Study as much as you could study. You know, because this book is a preventative from death. That's right. The Proverbs we're going to be getting into this week is Proverbs 29 and 30. And that's pretty much what all these Proverbs are about. These Proverbs are about giving you wisdom to let you know how to save yourself from death. Because as humans, our minds sometimes sway towards wickedness, or, you know, like it says, sin croucheth at the door. So these Proverbs are to give you that little bit of advice to let you know how to bring your mind back to right. All right. King.
We're in the book of Proverbs, chapter 29, starting from verse 1. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. He that being often reproved hardeneth his neck shall suddenly be broken and without remedy.
All right. So right there, it starts off with the person that's often being corrected. Now, it says, he that being often reproved hardeneth his neck shall suddenly be broken and without remedy. If somebody is taking the time out to let you know something about yourself, a character flaw that they see that you can improve on, and you choose to ignore that wisdom, that's what the proverb is saying is you shall suddenly be broken. That's you stiffening your neck from hearing that wisdom. Because none of us are perfect. Nobody has all the answers. And there's going to be things about ourselves that we don't see that somebody else does. Because we're not watching us when we're doing things. You know, so we only see ourselves in a certain light. And if a person is coming to you about something, you know, regardless as to their position, because sometimes we'll hear a person over another person, but if the Most High allows somebody to come and say something to you, hear that person out. You know, whether you hear or forbid, let that person say what they have to say, hear them out. And if you find it to be good, hear. If you feel like the words aren't that applicable to you, sometimes the wisdom isn't applicable to a person. Not all wisdom is applicable to us, but listen, don't harden your neck, because it says he shall be broken and without remedy. That was the Most High God giving you the opportunity to change your ways, and he was speaking through that person, and you didn't listen, so now he has to punish you. Tosif?
When the righteous are increased, the people rejoice, but when the wicked beareth rule, the people sigh. Whoso loveth wisdom rejoiceth his father, but he that keepeth company with harlots wasteth his substance.
All right. When the righteous are increased, the people rejoice. So this is basically saying someone that's considerate, you know, someone that's good and that's focused on doing that which is right. So I know we all think it, but this is that person that when they actually hit the lottery and they say, oh man, I'm gonna do this for this place and I'm gonna give this to that person, this is the person that when they actually are able to bless somebody else because they're blessed, they do it and not just say it. And this says, when the wicked beareth rule, the people sigh, you know, like we have right now. Not to say that 45 is wicked, but I'm pretty sure a lot of us, when we hear him talk on the news, we just want to do this most of the time. You know, when the wicked beareth rule, the people sigh. Because it's not a good thing when somebody who shouldn't have power is in power. It goes on down to say, whoso loveth wisdom rejoiceth his father and mother. You know, a lot of the times Solomon is, when he's talking, when you see his father and son, he's referring to his relationship, I guess, with him and his father, or even him being a father and his sons. And a child showing you that they have wisdom, and children showing, when your parents see that level of wisdom in you, it makes their hearts glad, because they know once you go out there in the world, you're not going to be swayed to doing any and everything that other children are doing. So when they see that wisdom on you, it makes their heart glad. But then it says, but he that keepeth company with harlots waiteth his substance. So you could take this literally, and then you could take this metaphorically. If you're taking it literally and saying he that, you know, keep his company with harlots, he wasteth his substance or his fortune, you're wasting your money spending it on stuff you shouldn't be spending it on. You know, that's what that's saying. But in the same vein, when you around people that you shouldn't be around, you're spending your substance even as your spirit, yourself. You're losing your character. You know, if you're around thieves or anything, any kind of people that you know you shouldn't be around, and you know in this book and you know better and you spend time around them, you'll slowly begin to lose yourself. Because if you're not the one that's changing them, they're going to be the ones that's changing you. So in that same instance, you're losing your substance. Tosif?
The king by justice establishes the land, but he that exacteth gifts overthroweth it.
Mm-hmm.
A man that flattereth his neighbor spreadeth a net for his steps.
Okay. The king by justice established the land, but he that exacteth gifts overthrow it. So that's pretty straightforward. Doing that which is right is how you're going to allow the land to be established. So that's not having favor for a person because you grew up with them. That's not having favor for a person because, you know, you like them over somebody else, so you change the judgment for their sake. That's not how justice works. And those of us that are in any type of leadership position, those are the hard decisions that we would have to make, and understanding that our friend may be the wrong one in a situation, or even our loved one may be wrong in a certain situation, but regardless, we still have to choose right over all. So the king by justice established the land, because that's why the Most High God took us out of our land as well. When you read these books like Ezekiel and Jeremiah, the Most High God continually showed us and told us that we perverted justice, and that's why the land had to spit us out, because we wasn't judging cases rightly. So we have to know and understand that the Most High God takes that very seriously, and to not have favor over somebody just because of a feeling or a relationship. But he that exacteth gifts overthrow it. So again, this goes to that same person. So instead of judging the matter the way he should, it's called a bribe. That's what happened. He's being given certain things, so he's swaying his judgment. Oh, well, you murdered who? But how much did you put in my bank account? Just add another zero and, you're forgiven. But that's what's happening here, and that's how the land becomes perverted. Then verse 5 says, a man flattereth his neighbor, spreadeth a net for his own step. So what this means is this is that person that's doing that smooth talking, trying to get a person to, sway to their way. But what they're not realizing is, although they're trying to set a trap for this person while they're, trying to lay these smooth words and make them do the thing that they want to do, they're actually spreading the net for their own steps. So they're making a trap for themselves. Tosif?
Verse 6. In the transgression of an evil man there is a snare, but the righteous doth sing and rejoice.
Right there. Tosif.
The righteous taketh knowledge of the cause of the poor. The wicked understandeth not knowledge.
It goes right back to that king or that leader exacting justice. It says the righteous take the knowledge of the cause of the poor. So that means he's considering everybody. Because right now in America, it seems like we're living in a plutocracy where the person who has the most money has the most say. And that is not new. You know, Solomon said there's nothing new under the sun. So all these, big wigs and all these people with big companies making a lot of, money, those seem to be the important people. And what it says right here is the righteous, because it's not even just talking about the leader, it's talking about all of us. It says, take knowledge of the cause of the poor. So when you consider someone that's less than you, and not look at them like you're looking down on them because of their situation, but you're actually considering them and saying, trying to help them or trying to bless them in whichever way you can, that's the Most High God, and he will bless you in that. It said, the wicked understand if not knowledge. There are going to be some people that as you try to explain certain things to them or you try to awaken them to a certain level of thinking, it's just not going to come through. It's going to be, some people is going to be in one ear and out the other, and some people is just not going to get in their ear at all, and we shouldn't lose ourselves over that, or we shouldn't be overly upset because of that, because everybody has their time to hear something. I know someone said it last week where the same book, this same book, reading it at 15, you're going to have a different understanding when you read it at 25. So I'm 25 now, and I have a much greater understanding of what I thought I had when I was reading these books when I was 15. One thing my Abba always said, just keep reading Proverbs, read Proverbs. And, it worked out a lot, I mean, we all going to make decisions that we're not 100% happy with. We're all going to slip and fall because we're human beings, but we just got to keep up and keep pushing forward. So as it is right here, now that wicked person, they're not going to hear it all. But sometimes a person doesn't have to be wicked for them not to hear the wisdom. Their mind may just be close to it right now because they can't understand what you're saying to them. A lot of our youth, as we're going through the book, sometimes these words are worded in such a way that their mind is lost because this is written in Old English. So their mind becomes slowly uninterested and they're not listening as much as they could or actively. But as they get older and life will teach them certain lessons, these words will become clearer and this book will become more important to them because they realize this is the thing that's going to save their life. So, Sif?
Verse 8. Scornful men set a city in a blaze, but wise men turn away wrath.
This is about controlling that spirit. Just like it said before, better is a man that control his spirit than one that rules a city. I probably said it backwards, but this again, you'll see that a lot in the Proverbs about a person learning to control their spirit because we all have that wrath within us. It just takes a certain thing to bring it out. And it's talking about here, like scornful men set a city ablaze, but wise men turn away wrath. Now, I was reading some commentary, and what it was saying was like, it means like I didn't read the Hebrew yet, but it was just stating that the person is fanning the flame to make it stronger. So this is that person that eggs on the attitude. That's, trying to bring the rage out in something. They're trying to bring it up, but it says a wise man turneth away wrath. And that's what we're supposed to be. We're not supposed to be that people that egg something on and try to bring that attitude out of a person. We're supposed to be that peaceful, comely people. Not to say that we supposed to, we're not the slap, the other cheek type of person. We're not but this also means that we're not the ones that start the problem either. We're not trying to make it bigger and worse. We're supposed to de-escalate the situations. So, Sif?
If a wise man contend with a foolish man, whether he be angry or laugh, there will be no rest.
Now, I wanted to research this a little bit because sometimes things seem plain and simple, but it's not. It says a wise man contendeth with a foolish man, whether be he angry or laugh, there will be no rest. So it's like, which one is angry or laughing? Is it the foolish man that's, whether he's angry or laughing, there's no rest, or if it's the wise man? And no matter which way you put it, this proverb is telling you not to waste your time. Don't waste your time arguing with somebody that you can clearly see has no understanding. Like those crazy people, that you see on the train and they sitting there yelling at the pole. Are you going to get between them and the pole and let them know, hey, man, that pole ain't do nothing to you? Relax a little bit. Now you look like a fool because you getting between him and his argument with the pole. Or he yelling at the reflection of himself and he start punching it and you try to hold him back. Like, nah, bro, don't do that to you. But this is what this is saying. You contend with a foolish man, whether he be angry or laugh, Because some of them, they just say some stuff and you just gotta, Because at the, regardless as to what happened, whether you be angry or laugh, or whether he be angry and laugh, there will be no rest because your mind is going to keep thinking about that moment. It's just going to be like, should I have done that? Should I have stepped in? Now I got all these people looking at me like I'm crazy. So just, just like before, the verse before, when you learn how to control that angry spirit, know when to mind your, not say mind your business, but know when to not go back and forth or involve yourself in a situation that you shouldn't be in. Tosif.
Verse 10, the men of blood hate him that is sincere, and as for the upright, they seek his life.
Stay away from people like this if you know you are like a soft person. I was just watching Juice a couple days ago, so a lot of us that are over the age of 20 probably have seen the movie Juice. A lot of you younger people, y'all haven't, but if you're a teenager, maybe you should, because that movie gives you a lot of life lessons. And Q was kind of a sincere individual. He obviously was one of the softer ones in the group. Still, and Raheem, they all was kind of a little bit soft. Q was soft, but then you got Bishop, Tupac. He was the harder one. He was the man of blood. As soon as he got the gun in his hand, he was just ready to use it any and all times. He was that man of blood. And he started to develop an animosity towards his friends because they weren't that type of person. They weren't gangsters. They may have been, hoodlums to some extent, and they were doing things that they shouldn't have been, but they weren't after blood the same way he was. And as for the upright, they seek his life. So when they did try to separate themselves from him, and you see in the movie, he started to take his own friends out the picture. So keep yourself as far away from these people as possible, because they could smile in your face but still have hate in their heart for you. Tosif.
Verse 11, a fool spendeth all his spirit, but a wise man stilleth it within him.
It goes right back to that verse that I was talking about, where it talks about verse 3, where it says, but he that keepeth the company with harlots wasteth his substance. Right here, that fool is spending your spirit. That's when you giving a reaction and an answer to any and everything that goes on around you. Like, they say everything doesn't need a response, and this is the perfect example of it. You giving your strength away to any and everything. You arguing with everybody. You're pouring your spirit out, and you're taking away from yourself. Tosif?
If a ruler hearkeneth to falsehood, all his servants are wicked.
So that means, to hear is to, to listen and do, or to listen is to hear and do. But what this means here is that this ruler is not only hearing the lie, but he's also acting on the lie. And when it says all his servants are wicked, that means that the people that's around him that's supposed to be correcting him or having his back and knowing that, hey, bro, this ain't true, they're not correcting him from acting on the falsehood. So that means they also are wicked, because 9 times out of 10, your boys are supposed to have your back. And if they know something is false and they allow you to act on it, they don't really have your best interest at heart. Like it was a viral video a few years ago. Y'all remember Jade with the X block, and she was fighting a girl in the locker room. And when you listen to the whole story of how it was set up, they both was all right, but then next thing you know, one person telling somebody something and the next person telling somebody something. I'm pretty sure we've all been in school and we've seen that happen, where you have people egging people on. Oh, well, she says it's about you and he said that about you. And those people, they both listening to falsehood. And if the friends around y'all know that all that's lies and nobody telling y'all nothing because they want to see y'all fight, they're wicked. And those are not, those are people you don't want around you. Tosif?
13. The poor man and the oppressor meet together. Yehovah giveth light to the eyes of them both.
Tosif.
The king that faithfully judgeth the poor, his throne shall be established forever.
So we see a lot, through Proverbs. It's always mentioning the poor. It mentions the poor a lot because this is someone that's in a lowly estate that most people won't consider. Like even in New York City, a lot of us may actually hate when we see a poor or homeless person because we know they either coming with that cup or that sob story. Some of them just shake the cup. Some of them have that long story, and it's in our heart of hearts, part of us wants to give, but there's so many scammers in New York City that a lot of these homeless people, this is their job. And then some of them aren't even homeless. This is just their side hustle where they beg and see how many people gonna give them money. But here, you know, it always talks about the poor and considering the poor, because there's some people that don't have and they won't have. And, you know, lending unto them is like lending unto God. I know me, I prefer to give my money to somebody I see out there hustling. Even if I don't want it, they selling some water, some fruits. I'm like, you know what, this person's doing more than just begging, they're doing. But here we see the king that faithfully judges the poor. That means I can't benefit from this person, but I'm still going to help them regardless. And that's why this is so important, because it's easy to help somebody that you know can help you back in the immediate future or even a distant future. But somebody that you can see that this person may never be able to repay you back, and you still give to them, the Most High God sees that and he considers that. So, Sif?
The rod and reproof give wisdom, but a child left to himself causes shame to his mother. When the wicked are increased, transgression increaseth, but the righteous shall gaze upon their fall. Correct thy son, and he will give thee rest. Yea, he will give delight unto thy soul.
All right. The rod and reproof give wisdom. So, I'm pretty sure, or at least I hope everyone in this room has received a beating at least once in their life. Because, you know, children, when we're young, there's this thing that happens in our mind where we have to feel that our parents mean what they say. It's like we could hear the word and listen and just do, but that's not how our brains operate. That's not how our forefathers' brain operated, because obviously the Most High God had to punish them again and again for them to understand that he was serious, which is why we're in America today, because they didn't believe him. So the reproof usually comes before the rod. You're going to get the correction first. A, you shouldn't do this. A, you know better. A, don't do that. But there's only going to be so much talking. No one constantly wants to repeat themselves when they're actually trying to help you, because 9 times out of 10, when somebody is giving you that type of reproof, I need to stop saying 9 times out of 10. 10 times out of 10, when somebody's giving you that reproof, they're letting you know how to better yourself in some way, shape, or form. If your parent is telling you keep your hand from that stove because it's hot, they're trying to protect you from burning your hand, and you just keep getting closer to it and you keep trying to touch it. Sometimes that rod will be them letting you touch it. So that's the rod. Now you know not to touch it no more. Sometimes you might get popped on the hand because you ain't want to listen, and they trying to really save you from being burned, you know. And that's why it goes down to say, but a child left to himself causes shame to his mother. That child you see running around the store and you just looking at them saying, I wish mine would. You know, you see all these videos of these little children disrespecting their parents, and you saying you wish you had a few moments with them. That's what there's nothing new under the sun. There's always been children that have gotten too besides themselves because parents didn't take the time to correct them, to teach them, you know. And if you didn't take the time to correct your child before, do it now. You know, and everything is in measure. You ain't got to overly correct. You ain't got to smack a child upside their head every time they do something wrong. Every time ain't the time to hit, and every time ain't the time to talk. You just, you know, you got to pray and you got to discern and ask the Most High to see what you should do at this moment. And also, don't make rash decisions. You know, like, right, anger. I heard Mama say anger. Decisions in anger can't be undone. So, you know, be careful what you say or you do at that moment. I read a story. Social media provides a lot. But so there was a news article about a man who punched his child so hard that he killed him. They ate his, I believe it was out his pie, cheesecake or something. Y'all could look it up online, but he hit the child so hard that the child eventually died. And in his mind, he was just disciplining the child, which I don't really see no reason to punch a child in their stomach. And this was like a child. This wasn't like no teenage child that tried to stand up and act strong. This was a young child that probably was just hungry, saw something sweet in the fridge and ate it, hit him in his stomach, and the child is dead. So, you know, decisions in anger can't be undone. Now it goes to say the wicked are increased. When the wicked increase, transgression increase. Transgression increases. So when there are more people that want to do wicked, there's going to be more wicked being done. Like we have in America today. What was it, last week or the week before they had the Pride Parade? You know, now certain things we can't say because YouTube is going to be, you know, YouTube is very circumspect of people speaking against people in certain respects. But because, you know, they get a lot of protection. They get way more protection than we do, and we built this nation. And, you know, like it was mentioned earlier, it's being pushed on our children. But the biggest problem about it being pushed on our children is the fact that so many people are asleep to it being pushed on our children. And when you try to awaken them or you try to tell them about it being pushed on our children, they're fighting you about it. No, it's not. You know, like the movie The Matrix, they're going to be the people that are comfortable with the way things are, and they're staying it, and then you're going to have those that are going to fight to make things stay that way. And that's what's happening. You can't even talk about it because it's a sensitive topic, and you could get in trouble at work, at school. You can get in trouble in all these places for speaking against it or even expressing your opinion, saying, I don't think this should be taught to kindergartners. I don't think this should be taught to children in elementary school, because now it provides an avenue for them to be even more confused. As a child, the world is a mystery to you, and there's so much going on. Now you're teaching these children that maybe you're not the gender that you were born. Now you just added a whole nother thing in there for them to be confused about, which is going to further lead to this problem that they say they have with depression. But when you provide so many options for a person, they don't know what to do or have the means to do it, that's just going to lead them into, further lead them into depression. You know, this society talks about mental health, but I'm here to tell you it does not care about mental health. All it cares about is people doing, you know, they want you to, this is a land of the freaks. America just wants you to fly your freak flag, and that's it. Other than that, there's a whole bunch of other rules that you still do have to follow. Then it says, but the righteous shall gaze upon their fall. So that's letting those of us know, you know, those of us that know Torah, those of us that do our best to live Torah, like I said before, do not be dismayed at the signs of the heavens. This is letting us know when we see all this wickedness around us going on, and it seems as if they're flourishing, it seems as if society has their back, it's letting us know to not worry, because the righteous shall gaze upon their fall. So it doesn't matter how many years we have to see them and put up with all of this stuff, because the Most High God is just filling their cup up. He's filling that cup up of iniquity before he cleaned out this land of his people. And we have to be patient, and we also have to be in this book, and we have to, you know, we all have to get better, because we don't want to be the ones that's falling with these people when they falling. Because a lot of us may think that we gonna be that people to watch the fall of this nation, and those that the Most High God will rescue is getting rescued, and we still sitting there waiting, and everything around us is falling. Like, oh, it's that time, and you see Israel going, and it's like, oh, you know. So, and I know it's easier said than done, because there's so much around us. There's so much for us to occupy our minds with that's outside of this book. So it's very much so easier said than done than to say, hey, read this book, meditate on the Most High, because we all fall short. Sometimes we get so busy in our day that we don't make the time to read, you know, even half a proverb. Like, we don't even read half a chapter. Sometimes you may just be moving and doing so much that you don't sit down and tell yourself, relax, breathe, open the book. Just open the book, and wherever you see it open to, just read what's right there, you know? So we have to take ourselves back a little bit, stop being so caught up in the fast-paced society, meditate on the Most High when you're doing things. You know, if you start to thank the Most High for little things, if you're about to eat and you say the Modeani Lefanecha right before you're about to eat, those little things will allow you to consider the Most High before you're doing stuff. So now, considering the Most High before you eat, you know, I can't work out. I really didn't get to work out that much this week because of the accident. But before that, before I go to the gym or while I'm in the gym, I'm asking the Most High to give me the strength to complete the workout. I'm asking the Most High to make sure I don't get injured while I'm working out. And all these things, just consider the Most High and those little things. So when that wicked thought, because the wicked thought will come. See, that's what you have to prepare yourself for. Telling yourself that the wicked thought won't come will leave you exposed to when that wicked thought comes and you don't know how to handle it. So when that wicked thought do come, if you put the Most High God and all your other thoughts before that moment, when it does come, you'll know how to chase that thought away. Or you'll have a precept ready for your mind and say, whoa, nah, don't think that. You know better than that, you know? So I'm speaking to myself as well as everybody else, because we're all growing and learning and improving. So now verse 17, Slockley, correct thy son and he will give thee rest. Again, it goes on to that chastising. So when you correct your child and you correct your child, eventually you'll begin to see the things that you're trying to implement in them. You'll see that in them. And that's what it means when it says he will give thee rest. That child, that son, that daughter, when you see them practicing and doing those things that you spent all them years teaching them, it's going to give you a sense of comfort and know that, all right, you know what? They may have seemed hard-headed in their younger days, but I see it got through to them. You know, which is why as adults, as parents, anybody, you know, we have to continually teach these things when I lies down and when I rises up. You know, when I woke us, by the way, when I lies down, when I rise up. So we continually, you know, we got to be on top of them. Not too much, but there's always an opportunity to bring this book into the picture. Or there's little moments where we have to correct. And eventually it will get through to all of us because we're all growing and learning. Those of us that are adults, I'm pretty sure we remember there was hard-headed moments we had as kids that is like, why didn't I listen to that when I got that message? And that's just that thing where it's like you grow and you see, and you know, when your brain starts to fully develop, that's when the understanding kicks in. Yea, he will give delight unto thy soul. You know, again, that's that comfort that you have when you see that child is walking in the way that you find pleasing. Verse 18.
Where there is no vision, the people cast off restraint. But he that keepeth the law, happy is he.
So this is talking about because nobody's seeing you do it, you feel like it's okay to do it. And we're all going to be integrity tested in our life. We're all going to have integrity tests. There's going to be things where there's no Israelites around you, or no Israelites that know themselves, or that you at least think they don't know themselves. Or there's going to be moments when you're around people that don't know this book, and there may be an opportunity for you to do something that you're not supposed to do. But you know, we have to keep in mind, because being humans, having eyes, sometimes that's our biggest downfall, because we're focused on what we can see, and because we can't see the Most High God, we forget that he's always in the picture. The same way our forefathers forgot that he was always in the picture, because they didn't have that idol right in front of them. You know, they didn't have that little thing that they carved out to be in their pocket or wear on their neck. So they, you know, wasn't thinking of the Most High God. And right here in these moments, we have to be really considerate of, just because there's no Torah observant Israelites around me, do I know better? That's what this is about. When there is no vision, the people cast off restraint. Because nobody's seeing me do it, I'm going to just do whatever I want. You know? That's not the way we're supposed to be living our lives, because then when the Most High God correct you or chastise you in that moment, a lot of people may be wondering, wow, why did that happen? That person not like that. You know, the situation this week that happened on the Sutter Avenue train station, where you see the girl, you know, all you hear about is a girl getting stabbed up in the altercation. But when you see the video of the altercation, the older woman who was 30 years old kept trying to pick a fight with the young girl that was 20 years old. Now, the video ain't all that clear, you know, who really had the knife first, but the person who started the fight ended up being the person that died. And we don't, you know, from the accounts that other people had, oh, she was such a lovely person. You know, before the video came out, she was so sweet. I don't see why this would happen to her. But now she's dead, and we can see from the video she started it. So there's always that person that other people don't see and they know, and we don't want to have that in us. We don't want to have that person that people don't see and know. So when something happens to us, they're sitting there wondering, oh my, why would the Most High God take that person out this early? Because when we didn't have nobody around us watching us, we was doing whatever we wanted. You know, we end up in certain situations where we may be incarcerated, or we laying up in a hospital, possibly in a coma on life support, and we have the people wondering why they in this situation. So, you know, all this Proverbs is just to make our lives better. So if that was you this week, be better next week. That goes for me too. You know, this is a continual thing where we just constantly try to be better. Tosif?
19. A servant will not be corrected by words, for though he understand, there will be no response. Seest thou a man that is hasty in his words? There is more hope for a fool than for him.
All right. So a servant will not be corrected by words, for though he understand, there will be no response. Now, this is just my interpretation, because there were no like commentary to try to help break this down. But what it could be saying is that a servant, you know, sometimes people get besides themselves, and you just talking to them is not going to fix the situation. And it's saying you may have to lay hands on this individual, like what happened with Sarah and Hagar. You know, she lorded herself over Sarah. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more when we get to Proverbs 30, but sometimes that servant gets besides themselves and you have to do a little bit more than just talking. Now, we don't have servants in this day and time, so we can't really relate to what's going on here. But in these times, people, you know, a lot of people, it was normal for them to have a servant. So they would understand more so this than what we would. Now we go to verse 20. Seest thou as a man that is hasty in his words? There is more hope for a fool than him. Listen. That's what this proverb is saying. Proverbs 20. If you want a proverb to give to a person that likes to answer before you even get to get the word out, you ain't even finish your thought, but they already have a response. You know, how do you have a response to what you didn't know I was going to say? You know, this goes for all of us. Sometimes we may be hasty in response. Sometimes we talking to somebody and they're already answering. You know, I was on the phone this week and I was already finishing the person's sentence before they finished, but you could hear that. And it's like, you know what? Let me just be quiet. Let the person talk. Because some of these, you know, some of these proverbs as we read and as we're teaching, not even just proverbs, but throughout the whole book, we're going to think about moments in our life where we was the person that was doing that which we'll see right there. So there was plenty of moments in my life where I probably was hasty in words and should have just let the person finish speaking before I started to express my thoughts. And, you know, some of us may still be that person. You know, we're all growing and learning. It's all right. But it said there's more hope for a fool than him. Now, a foolish person is a person that, you know, doesn't consider. So consider, meditate on you, learn you, and say, am I that kind of person that don't let a person finish what they have to say and just start going off of what I have to say? Am I? Yeah. If so, change. That's all. You know, and it's not going to be a 1-day change or a 2-day change, but as long as you start to learn yourself and know that that's you, that's when the process starts. If you start to tell yourself, oh, that's not me, because sometimes we'll read these and we'll think of somebody else that it may apply to, when see where it applies to you and yourself and say, all right, that's where I could change and that's where I could be better. Tosif?
He that delicately bringeth up his servant from a child shall have him become master at the last.
Now, again, this is one of those things where we don't have servants, but I thought about this in a different way, because a lot of people here does have children. So he that delicately bringeth up his servant from a child, so that means this master is rearing their child up like their child, but the problem in this situation is that servant is there to do a job. And the master spent so much time raising this child, this servant, as a child, that he now can't tell the servant to do the servant's job, because this servant has become a child unto him, and he eventually becomes the servant to the servant. As it is where we have today, where you have a lot of parents not raising their children, and then you have children having children, and then the grandparents becoming parents to the child of their child, because they didn't raise that, they raised that child up spoiled in a certain way, you know? So it's like, now you're becoming a servant to your own children and stuff because you didn't do that what you were supposed to do in the time which you were supposed to do it. There's a lot of children, young children, that they don't have the knowledge and capability that many of us may have when we were in our youth. There's a lot of things that we learned by the ages of 9 and 10 that a lot of youth can't do today as teenagers. You know, as far as even being able, you know, male or female, cook, clean, laundry, all them things. Some may have it, but most of them don't. And those little abilities, them not being able to take care of themselves, their parents still have to keep watching after them as they're becoming an adult. And the child is supposed to eventually start to take care of their parent, but when the parent don't rear up their child the right way, the parent continually serves that child. And as children, we have to know that our parents have a love for us that's sometimes dangerous, and you have to know and say that, you know, sometimes you have to recognize certain things in yourself to say, well, I know I need to be better. Because you have some parents that will just do and do and do and do and do for their child, and they're spending out their spirit and they're spending out their money. Don't be that child that just keeps taking it all, just taking away from their parents. That's not right. Let's go on down to verse 22.
An angry man stirreth up strife, and a wrathful man aboundeth in transgression. A man's pride shall bring him low, but he that is of a lowly spirit shall attain to honor.
All right, an angry man stir up strife. Again, it's that same person that's fanning the flame, trying to make it bigger. So, and a wrathful man aboundeth in transgression. So, you know, we all see these type of people. If we are these people, change from it. See these people, avoid it, or give them a word if you can. Now it says, a man pride shall bring him low, which is why it's not good to be haughty or to feel like you're above somebody just because of the position that you have in life at the moment. Because you never know what the Most High God may be, what he may do to you or what he may do to that person. Like the movie Trading Places with Eddie Murphy. Young people, this is going to go way over y'all heads because I know y'all didn't see this. Y'all probably don't even know who Eddie Murphy is. So y'all, you know, most of us that seen the movie and know the movie, he was he was poor in comparison to Dan Aykroyd. And something happened, you know, Dan Aykroyd had some sketchy people working for him, set him up. Now, next thing you know, he's living a lowly life and Eddie Murphy is living a lavish life. But that, you know, Dan Aykroyd, I can't remember his name in the movie, he was a very haughty individual. You know, he was, I'm this person, I'm that, you know, because he had that money. And you never know where the Most High God may, you know, where he may put you at. Ronda Rousey, you know, a female MMA fighter, she was very haughty. You know, she was feeling herself. She was the queen at that time. Holly Holm, she showed her that, hey, you're not as good as you thought. You know, there's a lot of positions in people's lives and examples that we could use to show that Most High God brought a person that was real pride. They had a lot of pride in themselves. You know, Mike Tyson versus Buster Douglas. He felt that he could win this fight regardless. He ain't have to train as much. He could do whatever he want right before the fight, you know. And he lost that fight. So, but he that is of a lowly spirit shall attain to honor. That humble person, you know. I'm going to bring another reference in. It might go over everybody's head in this room because y'all all black. But Game of Thrones, you look at, you look at Jon Snow, the one person who kept trying to run away from the honor. He kept trying to run away from the glory. He didn't want it. He just wanted to do his job, live his life to live, you know, to the end of his days. And that was it. He would have been happy just that way. He was a lowly person. He had that low spirit. He didn't care about the glory, but somehow he always ended up in a position to obtain to higher and higher and higher honor. And that's the kind of people we should be. You know, we all have little things that we may be proud of, but don't, you know, and it's good. We should be proud of things that we're capable of. So I'm not saying not to have pride, but don't have so much pride so that you look down on somebody else. Oh man, you don't know differential equations? Oh my gosh, that's baby math. You know, learning all this math, you know, being that I'm an engineer and whatnot. It's not common in, you know, regular day life. You're not sitting there thinking about doing all these integrations and, you know, stuff in life. It may cross your mind when you see stuff, but for me to lord myself over somebody just because I have a higher degree of understanding in math is foolish, because they may have a higher degree about making money. And all the math I know, I'm broker than them, you know? Broker is not a word, by the way, children. Do not write broker in an essay. Do not say broker in school. That is African-American vernacular English. We can use it amongst one another. Let's see. 24?
Yes, indeed. Whoso is partnered with a thief hateth his own soul. He heareth the adjuration and uttereth nothing.
So you know the person is doing wrong. Don't think about just a thief. Sometimes we see the words there and look at it. All right, well, this person ain't a thief, but, you know, they kill people, or he or she commits adultery, or anything that we know a person ain't supposed to be doing, and we partner ourselves up with them. It rains on the righteous as well as the wicked.
That is true.
You know? So if you're right there and you know they doing all this wrong, like back when I was in high school, my boys would say stuff like, oh yeah, I'm gonna holler at his girl, I'm trying to get with his girl. I'm like, bro, you're not supposed to do that. Because if they my friend, I want to see them live. So if I know that's wrong, and the Most High God going to visit them eventually, because now you may say, well, what if they don't know it's wrong? They do know it's wrong. Because you think they going to holler at that guy's girl right in front of that guy?
Nope.
Now, some people out their mind and they will do it. But most people, they sneaky about those things. And if you have to sneak, obviously something about it ain't right. So whether they know law or not, there's certain things that's instilled with us through our DNA. All that stuff is within us. We know that's not right. So we know stealing ain't right. We know all these different things ain't right just because it's in us already. And when you partner yourself with that person, you always with them. And you don't know who they might rob, you know. Obviously I watch a lot of movies and TV shows. But the dance movie from way back called Step Up, you know, the little guy, his brother, like his older brother stole cars. And he tried to be like his big brother. But one day he stole the wrong person's car. This guy was like, you know, the biggest drug dealer in the hood. So he stole his car. When he found out who it was that stole his car, he didn't care that he was like a little 13 or 14-year-old kid. He just started spraying. And now the guy lost his little brother because he tried to be like him. Now, that may be a little bit of a tangent from this, but when you hang out with that person that's doing wrong, you're leaving yourself open to the punishment that they may receive.
That's true.
25.
The fear of man bringeth a snare, but whoso putteth his trust in Yehovah shall be set up on high. Many seek the ruler's favor, but a man's judgment cometh from Yehovah. An unjust man is an abomination to the righteous, and he that is upright in the way is an abomination to the wicked.
All right. The fear of man bringeth a snare. So, you know, we know in the book of Jeremiah, you don't have to turn there right now, because I have a whole nother proverb. So, you know, I don't want to hold y'all too long. I think this is the longest I've actually ever been in front of y'all. And I'm less nervous right now, so I gotta say torah YAH, because I always ask him, you know, when I'm in front of his people, to calm my nerves. You know, so I know exactly what, you know, Rishon is feeling, because although people don't think it, I do get shot very fast. So being in front of the people, all those nerves come over and it's like a tingling sensation. Sometimes I walk off and my whole foot be numb just from all the nerves going. And yeah, I've been in front of y'all for probably like 40 minutes now, maybe 30. I'm not counting. Who's counting? But you know, that those nerves is calmed down a bit. And so let's go. See, 25, it says, right, so Jeremiah, the Most High God, since him being such a young man, sometimes when you're young, it's hard to talk to an adult, which is why, you know, we have to, as adults, maybe relax a little and give the children an opportunity to explain themselves or to express themselves, because there's a natural fear that you have when you're raised to respect elders and respect adults. Sometimes you may feel the need to say something to somebody that's older, but a fear comes over you and prevents you from doing that, or you don't know how to do it, so you kind of just keep the words to yourself. And the Most High encouraged Jeremiah at that moment, him being a youth, letting him know that he's about to go to speak before these people and to not be afraid, you know. He told him, he told him not to be afraid when you speak in front of them. Say that which you're supposed to say, and if you don't, then I will let them overtake you. You know, I'm gonna be with you as long as you do that which I tell you to do and say that which I tell you to say. So right here, when it says a man, the fear of a man, so if you know something's not right, and instead of speaking on it, you say, I don't like the way that person reacts, or like, you know, some of us are afraid of certain people. It is what it is. Now, everybody in their spirit just got that tough guy moment where I ain't scared of nobody. Everybody probably just, you know, but there's certain people that, you know, you may have a certain kind of level of fear for, whatever the reason the fear is there. And you see something or hear something that you feel that person should know better about. And because you're afraid, you don't tell that person. Now, we know the blood guiltiness is on you when you see something and don't say something, right? You see somebody doing something they shouldn't be doing. I wish I would have looked that up beforehand, but somebody could look it up in the meantime and find it. Because we have a whole nother proverb. But when you see somebody doing something that they shouldn't be doing, and you don't, you know, it says you have to tell them so that you can get the sin off you. And if you see them doing it and you don't say anything, then the sin is on you. So that's why it says the fear of man bringeth a snare on himself, because when you see something or hear something that shouldn't be done and you don't say anything or you don't correct that, now you brought the sin on yourself. You let that fear overtake you so much that you let wrong continue to be done, and now you're the one that has to bear the iniquity as well. But whoso putteth his trust in Yehovah shall be set on high. Fear Yehovah more than you fear anything else. You know, you may be a little bit scared of that person. It's all right, whatever the reason is, but fear Yehovah more so than you fear that person, because he's going to be with you. However that person may react, the Most High God is going to deal with them, get the sin off you. 28, many seek the ruler's favor, but a man's judgment coming from Yehovah. As was mentioned earlier about the king that take bribes and stuff, or the leader that take bribes just to sway his decision. Some people try to get close in with the person that makes decisions so they could, you know, make decisions in their favor. But when you do wrong, regardless as to the judgment, you know, same as it was before the precept where it talks about where no vision the people cast off restraint, but he that keepeth the law, happy is he. And we have right here the judgment coming from Yehovah. So even if a matter happens in the midst of the people and there's a judgment that's given and you may not like the judgment coming from Yehovah. We're not going to like all decisions, but if you know you was right in a certain situation, but you can't prove that you was right in that situation, and it seems as if the other person had more evidence, whatever it was, at the end of the matter, the Most High God is going to deal with them. All these people that may be getting on for murder charges and all these things, you know, George Zimmerman, he's still alive. And a lot of us are angry about that. But don't worry, don't fret, because the Most High God is going to deal with him. And when he gets his punishment, it's all going to be known. It's going to be in the exact measure in which he deserves. 27, an unjust man is an abomination to the righteous, but he that is upright in the way is an abomination to the wicked. So, this is good because this will keep people away from you that may cause you to lose your life. That last part, and he that is upright in the way is an abomination to the wicked. So, you doing right, somebody that wants to do wrong, see you, and they say, I don't want to be around that person. Sometimes people ask advice from somebody that they know will give them the wrong advice because they know what they want to do. We have our mind made up already, and we want to hear something from, you know what, I know this person, you know, sometimes you may get in an argument, you may want to fight, and you know who and who not to talk to egg you on. Like, nah, man, I don't know why you keep letting that person talk to you like that. Like, you need to handle your business. You train all the time. Huh? Don't you lift weights and you fight and stuff? What, you been doing karate since you was 7? Go handle your business, man. But then you have that person that say, you're above that. You have a career. You don't have a record. You don't have none of that. You know, just, you know, and let it go. You know, so, but when it says that, you know, that person, that wicked person, you're going to be an abomination in their eyesight, that literally is the Most High God saving you from yourself. Because wicked seems good in the moment. So when that wicked person don't want to be around you, that's good. Now we can go on over to chapter 30.
Chapter 30, verse 1, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
The words of Agur, the son of Yahweh, the burden. The man said unto Ethiel and Ukal, surely I am brutish, unlike a man, and have not the understanding of a man, and I have not learned wisdom, that I should have the knowledge of the Holy One. All
right, so most of the Proverbs that's written in this book, we know it to be, or at least we think it to be, from Solomon. Now this one here says it's the words of Agur, the son of Yahweh. Now, I do not know who this person is, nor that I get the opportunity to research it, because my mind was more so just focused on torah. My mind was more so focused on the precepts that's here and just trying to bring a message across concerning that, because wisdom is wisdom regardless as to who it comes from.
Right.
So I didn't focus on the person, but I like how he started it. You know, he said, surely I am a brutish man, unlike a man, and have not the understanding of man. I have not learned wisdom, that I should have the knowledge of the Holy One. And it may seem like he's talking down on himself, but this is that instance where, you know, somebody tries to make you feel like you're not adequate because you're not in a certain position. It's like, well, yeah, I may not have these certain accolades, but hear what I have to say, and as we begin to see and read these Proverbs, you'll see that he's actually a very wise man, and there's a reason why whoever put Proverbs 30 along with the Proverbs that Solomon wrote, there's a reason why they put these here. Tosif?
Who have ascended up into heaven and descended, who have gathered the wind in his fist, who have bound the waters in his garment, who have established all the ends of the earth. What is his name, and what is his son's name, if thou knowest?
Now, after you read the entire proverb, especially the next verse, you can see where he's leading to. He's talking about things that no man has ever done, you know. Who have ascended up to heaven and descended? None. And that's why we always say, besides him, there is no other. You know? Because there, you know, a lot of times we like to attribute certain things to Christianity when in all actuality, we know that a lot of the concepts in Christianity came from mythology that predates it. So we can't give that only but so much credit. There has always been creatures in certain places and, you know, different lands. There's always been this understanding that because there is a father, obviously there has to be a mother and a wife.
Right.
If there's a mother and a wife, there obviously has to be a son. There has to be children.
Right.
You know? What was it? Isis, Osiris, and Horus? Horus, Isis, you know. There's always been in these societies that are obsessed with idolatry that because I'm a man and I have a wife and we have children, obviously the supreme being that created this all, clearly he has a wife. It's only right. It makes sense.
Yeah.
And clearly because he has a wife, he has to have children because we have children. Now we understand, you know, even although they didn't have the same understanding as we do, they do understand that we come from the Creator and we are like him in certain ways, but not in all ways. So he goes on to say, who have ascended up into heaven and descended? Nobody. Y'all could do, who is it? Keep Sweat? Y'all could just say nobody. After each one you read, who have gathered the wind in his fist?
Nobody. I'm gonna do it. You know me. You know me, man. I'm gonna do it.
Nobody has ever grabbed the wind in their hand because it just slips right through your fingers.
Right.
Nobody. It says, who have bound waters in his garment?
Nobody.
Because if I jumped in some water and I got out the water, that water is gonna be continually dripping from my shirt.
True.
It's gonna hold the water for a minute, but the water's not gonna stay in my clothes. And that's what this means here. Because I was confused at first when I read this. Who bound the waters in their garment? Like, I can wear my shirt and get some water in there, but that's not what it means. It means that the water is in the garment and it's in the garment. That's it. The same way the cotton is in the garment or the wool or whatever is in the garment, the water is bound in the garment forever.
Okay.
It's not possible. Who hath established all the ends of the earth?
Yeah.
I mean, that speaks for itself. I don't even have to get into that. And then it goes on to say, well, read verse 5.
Verse 5. Every word of God is tried. He is a shield unto them that take refuge in him.
Yeah, keep going.
Add thou not unto his words, lest he reprove thee, and thou be found a liar.
All right. So that last part when it says, what is his name? What is his son's name? If thou knowest. There's a reason why it says, if thou knowest. Because there's nobody like that. There hasn't been, nor will there ever be. You know, I'm not going to get into the JC conversation now because we have about 20 more verses. And I don't want y'all being mad at me like the sun is down. I know y'all peeking out the window already. It's all right. I'm going to try to speed through some of it. But, yeah, that's just to let us know because our forefathers we was always into something else. Whether it was the Asherah or the Baalim, we was always into something else. We have this problem where we love idolatry even in today's time. We may not have wood and stone and gold and silver idols. Some of our people still do, but the difference is the idols that we have now are on TV. They're on the radio. These idols that we have now, unlike the ones that it talks about in the book, they have ears and can hear. These idols, they have mouths and can speak. They have feet and they can walk. the people worship these people. They put them on such a high pedestal, and there's a reason they're called idols. Like, there's no coincidence in this thing. They're called idols. Why? Because people are worshiping them. You know, back on, you know, since our older people days where you had them worshiping the Temptations and stuff, on up until now where people worshiping Beyonce and whoever else. That's the idolatry now. It's all right to be entertained by them and amused by them, but don't become so obsessed with these individuals that you feel you need to know everything that's going on in their lives. Every word of God is tried. He is a shield unto them that taketh refuge in him. Now, you could take that in the sense that our forefathers tried the words of the Most High God, you know. King David said, I have not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. And this book has showed us time again where when we turned our back on the Most High God, he had a rod right there ready for it. As soon as we turned around, right in the back. So you could try the Most High's word and do what he tells you and see the benefit of doing it, or you could learn this word and say, well, I don't care what you have to say. You're not rich like the rest of these people, and they're not doing God's word. I'm going to do what they're doing. You could try his word either which way, but it says he is a shield unto them that take refuge in him. So when you do decide that this is what you want to do, the Most High God is going to always be with you. He's going to be that shield. Just like I said earlier, things could have turned out real ugly, but both of us, we walking, we all right. You know, we're going to be in pain. There's always going to be that pain because that's a hard impact. But the Most High God at that moment was definitely a shield for us both. And I'll be forever grateful for that moment. It says, and thou add not thou unto his word, lest he reprove thee, and thou be found a liar. Mm-hmm. We know because of Deuteronomy 4:2, add not to his word, nor diminish aught from it. But the rest of the verse goes on to say, you know, that it should keep you from doing the law. So what that meant to me was, like, it's not so much so about adding, but if you add to the law to the extent in which you're now not keeping the law, that's when the sin comes into play. Because some people may say, well, it don't say that in the book. You know? Now, if it don't say it in the book, but we know it's not right, and we tell people not to do it, that is us adding to the law, but in the sense of allowing the person to further keep the law. You know? We tell, like, it don't say in the book not to watch TV on Shabbat. But somebody strolling around on Disney, Nickelodeon, MTV, like, hey, don't say I can't do this. The book say I just can't work and X, Y, and Z. But we know those are things that we should not be doing. So that is us adding to the law in essence. However, although we're adding, that is helping us to keep the law. Verse 7.
2 things have I asked of thee. Deny me them not before I die. Remove far from me falsehood and lies. Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with mine allotted bread. Lest I be full and deny and say, who is Yehovah? Or lest I be poor and steal and profane the name of my God.
All right, give me 2 things before I die. Remove far from me falsehood and lies. Because, you know, lying and stuff creates an uneasiness of mind and spirit. Right. People start to tell you lies, you start to question everything, and you start to question everybody. You start looking back at situations and scenarios saying, was this person lying then? And were they lying about this? You know, so that's why he's saying remove that far from me, because, you know, life is very short. I'm pretty sure everyone in here that's over 50 remember being children, and now they over 50 or 60 or whatever age. You know, y'all don't have to reveal y'all ages, but life passes by very fast. So, not saying that all of life should be easy, but an uneasiness of mind because of lying and falsehood, those are one of those things that you don't want to have to deal with. There's a lot of the stresses that come in the world, and this is one of those things that he's saying, please, out of all the stuff I got to deal with, this is the one thing I don't want to deal with, because this is something that can't really change. Somebody that, you know, lies and creates a false reality for you and stuff, now you questioning and everything. Then he goes on to say, give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with mine allotted bread, lest I be full and deny and say, who is Yehovah? Or lest I be poor and steal and profane the name of our God. We wax fat and kick, as the Most High God said. So this person, Agor, is asking, don't give me too much and don't give me too little. If I have too much, sometimes, you know, that's why we always say, when people talk about hitting the lottery, we say it's not meant for a lot of us because although we have all these promises and things that we say we want to do for the nation, Most High God, I'm going to give you ask for 10, I'm going to give you 15%. Matter of fact, let me hit the mega millions, I'll give you 20%. We have all these promises, but we get that money and we disappear. We start acting funny. We start doing crazy stuff that the rich, weird people do. You know, we just become weird individuals, kind of like Will Smith children with all the hair stuff and everything. You know what I mean? I hear they're doing good things, but they're very eccentric. But when you have that kind of money, I guess that's what you do. But he's asking to not get so much that he forgets the Most High God and forsake him. But then he also asks, don't give me so little that now I'm profaning your name. You know, I start taking stuff from people or, you know, even in the sense of this person being poor and now you have to go beg other people that don't keep this way of life. And if you're supposed to be a light to the nations and you begging from other people, how are they supposed to see a benefit in Torah? Or how are they supposed to see a benefit of keeping this way of life? Because at the end of the day, although we understand by DNA we're the people, this Torah is supposed to be taught to the world. And if we have our hands out because we have so little, then how's a person going to see a blessing in this? You know, so we have to keep that in mind too. I was meditating about that even before I knew I had to teach this, that we can't be in positions in our lives that we look like we're always in want and need, because how is somebody going to see us if we're supposed to represent Israel? Like, well, I don't think I want to do that. You look like you struggling all the time. You know, you struggling more than me, and I don't believe, like, because that's how that's our human mind thinks that way. Persons say to themselves, I don't believe in God at all, and I'm fine, and you believe in God, and you struggling more than me. Matter of fact, you asking me for money, you asking me for work, and that's another way that you profane the name of your God, by having that person look at you and saying, well, I don't think I want to worship your God. That's why he's asking, give me enough just so that I have enough to still consider you, but also to not make you look bad in any way, shape, or form. Tosif.
Verse 10. Slander not a servant unto his master, lest he curse thee, and thou be found guilty. There is a generation that curse their father, and do not bless their mother.
Nowadays.
There is a generation that are pure in their own eyes, and yet are not washed from their filthiness.
Nowadays.
There is a generation, oh, how lofty are their eyes, and their eyelids are lifted up. There is a generation whose teeth are as swords, and their great teeth as knives, to devour the poor from off the earth, and the needy from among men.
So, as it was then, so it is now, you know. And that's the beautiful thing about this book, is when you read it, you can see life now in it. Yes, things may be different. They may have rolled on camels and, you know, chariots and carriages. We have cars now, and, you know, we consider the power in it horsepower.
Right.
Very little, you know, a lot has changed, but at the same time, very little has changed. And as it talks about here, this is thousands of years ago. This is what we really need to understand. So disrespectful children ain't nothing new. And, you know, now this doesn't necessarily mean just young children. Us older people are still children as well. So it talks about that generation that cursed their father. You know, a lot of people I know, they ain't grow up, you know, in the hood. A lot of people don't have their father, so they be like, you know, the heck with that blank blank, you know, whatever with him. And they do not bless their mother. They don't live a life that will make somebody else, you know. Sometimes people I hear it, you know, I don't let my head get big, but I'll hear somebody say to my mother, oh, you did such a great job with the children. You know, I know my father wants that pat on his back, but, you know, a lot of people, when they see my mom or they see me with her, oh, you did such a good job with him. Oh, he's so well-mannered, he's nice, you know, because I knew better. You know, I had this book and I had this understanding. The streets wasn't going to take hold of me. You know, Torah YAH, that wasn't in my spirit, but the understanding that's here helped me to stay further away from it. And that's one way you bless your parents. When people could walk up to your parents and compliment them about you, they may know a certain version of you that may get on their nerves, but to know that other people see you in a certain light, that does make their hearts glad, and that's how you bless your parents, you know. There's a generation that are pure in their own eyes. Everything they do is right. You can't tell me nothing. And yet are not washed from their filthiness. And nowadays, that could be both literal and figurative. A lot of these children don't bathe right. These young kids out here, bird bathing it and just heading out the house. Bird bath, Bed Bath and Beyond, and out the door. Wash up it. It is what it is. They out. They're literally filthy, and because of their ways, they're filthy. But in their eyes, they clean. You know, they smell good. You know, so they clean. But there's a generation, oh, how lofty their eyes are, and their eyelids are lifted up. You know what I mean? They feel like they're better than everybody else. And then it goes on, 14, there's a generation whose teeth are as swords. They talk crazy. You know, when I was younger, after youth, not youth, I was a youth at that moment. I still am the youth. But, you know, my friends or whatever, if they were starting to talk a certain way around adults, you would see that they had enough sense to curb that conversation a little bit. And say, oh, wait, no, we're around older people or we're around little kids. Let's change the conversation or let's change the vernacular. But these youth, they don't think that way. They speak however they want. Matter of fact, some of them, when they see more people, they speak louder and they speak stronger, as if they want the audience. But that's what reality television has done to our youth. They live their life like there's a camera constantly recording them, so they always have to put on a show. And I be wanting to slap some of these kids because the way, and you know, it's bad because I hear young daughters talking so harsh, and I hear them speaking about their mother. And it just be so weird to me. Like, I kind of just want to turn around and do one of these real fast because I wish that, you know, I wish she would tell me this, or she was trying to talk to me like this, and I was like, and I'm like, that's, you know, that kind of breaks my heart because it's like, y'all young, and not only do y'all think it's okay to treat your parents this way, y'all think it's okay to talk to your friends about it and make them think that it's okay. And these are black children doing this. We supposed to be the people that beat our kids, and we supposed to be the ones that's laughing at our counterparts that lack the melanin thereof when they children act up. But our children are the ones getting crazy now. You know, it says to devour the poor from off the earth and the needy from among men. Tosif?
15. The horse leech have 2 daughters. Give. There are 3 things that are never satisfied, yea, 4 that say not enough.
All right. The horse leech says, give. This is about things that's just never satisfied with taking. All right. Tosif.
Verse 16. The grave and the barren womb, the earth that is not satisfied with water.
All right.
And the fire that saith not enough.
So the grave, I'm trying to think of what Chief Michael said. It's Abba Cohen Larry always says, somebody new dying every day. How it go? Y'all's grandsons. Y'all know the quote? They're not even paying attention. Somebody new dying every day. You know, something to that effect. But it's talking about here that the grave is never satisfied because there's always going to be somebody else to put in the grave. Then it talks about the barren womb. You know, we've seen it with our mother Sarah. We've seen it in the book of Samuel with Hannah and Elquanah. You know, although the man may have been satisfied with his wife, her biology wanted her to just produce children. That's human of us. We want to procreate because we understand that our life is limited. So the barren womb is never satisfied because it didn't do the job in which it was set to do. Then it talks about the earth is not satisfied with water. The earth continually needs water, otherwise the land will become desolate. That's why the Most High God, one of the punishments that he always told us is, you know, making the land barren. That's it having no water so it can't bring forth fruit and stuff and vegetation. And lastly, it says the fire saved not enough. Fire will consume everything in this path. Fire won't stop unless you stop it. If we started a fire right here, that's going to be it for probably this whole block. If nobody stopped the fire, it's going to find something else to catch on to and continually spread, because a fire, like it started off, is just give. Give me more to consume. Give me more to consume.
The eye that mocketh at his father and despiseth to obey his mother, the ravens of the valley shall pick it out, and the young vultures shall eat it.
So watch how you think about your parents. Watch what you say to your parents. You know, sometimes you may not agree with your parents. It's natural. It's very natural. Look at Abraham. He came from a house that practiced idolatry, and he had to separate himself from that. So obviously there was some disagreeing going on there. But we know and understand there was no disrespect about what happened with him and his father as he began to separate himself. So, you know, don't mock your father. Don't disrespect or, you know, disobey your mother. And it says these things in a certain way for a reason, because the way people were is the way people are. It says despiseth to obey his mother. Why? Because children are more hard-headed with their mothers than they are with their fathers. It's, you know, I guess when children hear that thundering voice or hear that power and, you know, in that voice, they kind of react a little differently. They, you know, shake up and they start to do what they're supposed to do. And sometimes because mothers have a softer voice, they have a softer spirit, you now have children that become more hard-headed, or I ain't got to do that. You know, especially as boys get older, and if there ain't no correction there, they start to feel a little tough. You know, and testosterone starts kicking in and other things start to drop. You know, you start feeling themselves like, I don't think I really have to listen to you. You know, I don't think you could beat me. We know better than to think that way, but there's youth out there that don't. And they feel like if you can't beat me, you can't tell me what to do. But that's why it says, the ravens of the valley shall pick it out. This is talking about an unpleasant death. That's what this means. We're all supposed to die in our old age, our family seeing us off, saying our last little words. You know, I left $1 million under the... That's how we supposed to go out that way. But what this is saying here is that you're going to die an unpleasant death. Now, because I see the time is going, and which one is this? I don't want to hold y'all no more, but I do want to, because a lot of these, you know, when you get the opportunity to, continue to read it, because it talks about, like I started off by saying, he speaks about himself in a certain way because sometimes we receive things from a person in a certain position. And that's why he started talking about himself in a lowly way. And as you begin to read the rest of this, you know, he talks about the locusts. It talks about things being in certain places that you wouldn't expect it to be, or things doing certain things that they do, and him not understanding how it's happening. And as we go forth on, you know, Shabbat is pretty much done now. And as we go forth in the rest of our week and the rest of our lives, you know, we should be very considerate of things and not always use our eyes to look. Like, that didn't make sense. We take that back. But we sometimes let our eyes misguide us, you know. Our eyes sometimes do deceive us, where we'll hold a certain person to a certain level of esteem, and we'll consider more what they have to say than somebody that's not in their same position. You could walk by a homeless person on the street and they may have a word that you needed to hear. That's right. I was in the store buying a bag of plantain chips, you know, and a lady was just started saying, you know, she was just saying, them girls is dangerous, stay away from them girls, or these cases and stuff going on nowadays. It may not have applied to me at that moment, but that may have been God telling her to tell me that, so that I know to protect myself from something. And if I would have said, well, this person ain't in their right mind, I don't need to receive that wisdom, I could miss out on a future blessing. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of where he's going with the rest of these Proverbs and other little things and little lessons. But I pray that you all got something from what I said. I pray that you didn't look at the person that was here, but rather heard the words that was said, because you may not, it is what it is. There's going to be people that don't like me. There's going to be people that like me some more than others and some less than others. That's fine. I'm not here to worry about that, because there's things that I have to do, and I can't worry about those things. But, you know, I pray that y'all did hear what I had to say, and I pray that there was understanding brought forth. If I said anything wrong, feel free to let me know. You know, you can talk to me. Yeah, so Most High Shabbat Shalom. There I go dropping my phone again.